Canada graduate programs, but a lot of students go into business or engineering, and those are really affordable.
Right.
Really affordable. And one of the most important thing, apart from the tuition fees, is also the cost of living that you can see in Canada.
Right. How much would that come to, like roughly?
Okay, so the tuition fees, let's say, for example, if you're taking an engineering degree in masters, it will come somewhere on an annual of about 15,000 to 20,000 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
So it might sound a little bit more, but when you look into the Canadian dollar rate, it's quite lower, and
Right.
that gives you an advantage of having a lower tuition fees. And then the cost of living. One big advantage in the Canada is that almost 80 to 90% of the students get part-time jobs over there.
Right.
So you don't have to pay for your cost of living over there. The population is also quite low, and international students go a lot over there, and then you have a lot of opportunities to go there and take care of your cost of living. There are various different kinds of managing your cost of living in Canada. You can either do an on-campus job or you can do an off-campus job, and they pay you pretty good.
In US, there is a restriction, right, for off-campus
Yes,
jobs?
that is true. But in Canada, there is no restrictions. You can do a off-campus job, and then there you have a part-time off-campus, and you have a full-time off-campus as well. So while you are studying, during your summer breaks, you can actually take the off-campus full-time jobs.
Full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so we
good.
pay double
Right. Okay.
at the time.
So we have a question here from the audience. What would be the average pay per hour for part-time jobs in Canada?
For part-time job, you get to around let's say 600 to 800 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
And then when it comes to full-time, because part-time is exactly you get to work for about 4 hours,
Right.
and then full-time you get to work for about 8 hours.
8 hours.
So it doubles.
It doubles.
And then you can earn up to about 1,600, or let's say about 1,400 to 1,800 Canadian dollars per month.
Yes.
So your cost of living is actually half of that. So if you during summer break and things like that, you get to choose if you want to do an internship or you want to work part time, and then that helps you in also paying your tuition fees. If you're working a full time, you get to pay your tuition fees. If you're working a part time, you get sufficient money, almost equal or a little bit more than that, to actually pay for your cost of living. So you still have some small amount of money that you can save, you can do something, or you can pay for your tuition fees. So that's one big advantage that you have in Canada when it comes to the affordability of the education. So you just get to pay only your tuition fees. Your cost of living is covered.
That's a very, very good news, I believe, right? In fact, a lot of questions coming in regarding part-time jobs now. In fact, okay, so guys, just one quick announcement, okay, just to increase the excitement up a little bit here. So for those of you guys who would be staying with us throughout the seminar, and if you pay attention to the details that we mentioned, it will definitely be helpful in the pop quiz that we'll have towards the end of the seminar, where you have a chance to win a full year's membership of Zomato Gold. Okay, so we'll pick one winner, and for that pop quiz, please pay attention to a lot of details. We'll definitely be announcing that winner at the end of the session, right? So stay tuned. We'll pick up a lot of questions as we move forward. In fact, I think it's about time for us to get started with the discussion. Don't worry, we'll pick up as many questions as possible as we go along, and we'll try to address every single aspect about MSc Canada. Right. So I have a couple of questions regarding this part-time jobs that we were discussing about. So what kind of jobs do one pick up at this point of time? Asks Harshita Avsarla. So can you answer that
Absolutely.
question?
That totally depends on what kind of jobs you would want to prefer to do. There are various kind of jobs. Like I said, there are two types of jobs that you can take. One is on campus, and the other is off campus. In on campus, if let's talking about on campus, there are a lot of jobs. Like for example, you could work in the administrative department of the college. What happens is during college admissions time in the fall intake, there are a lot of applications coming in, and there is a lot of coordination that has to be done.
Right.
So you get to work in that place. So when I'm talking about on campus, to put it more generally, you have there are various kinds of on campus jobs. Like for example, you have a graduate assistantship, you have a teaching assistantship, and you have a research assistantship. So these are the three. I mean, you can categorize them in. You can work in the areas which will get categorized into these three areas. Now, one big advantage if you're having very good academics is that you can get quite easily on-campus jobs, and you can get in the category of a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. Because in teaching assistantship, you will be teaching the first year undergraduate students, and you will be assisting the professors in the teaching area. So they pay you quite good over there. So if you have good academics, if you have good IIT score, you can look into that area. And then if you have good research profiles, if you have done a lot of internships and good research that you have done in your past, you can look into professors, and they will take you as your research assistant. So you'll be working under them. So that also gives you a good pay. And if you don't have these two, then not to worry. There is one more aspect which is called as a graduate assistantship job. So that I was talking about, like you could work in the administrative department, or there are a few small things like gardening in the university or working in the mess. So though it's these jobs help you get through your cost. So you could take this kind of jobs. So you could take this. This is the on-campus part, and then you have the off-campus part. Off-campus, you can go out and do any kind of job you want, which is legal, of course, and, and yeah, and they pay you quite good over there. So on an overall, like I said, you get around 600 to 800. So if you go to off-campus, they pay you quite less, because they get to choose how much they want to pay you, and it also depends, because there is a variety of jobs that you can take up off-campus. So like working in a shopping mall or something like that, and that pay you quite certain amount. But if you look into on-campus jobs, since it's provided by the university, they pay you quite a lot. So that comes to about $800 Canadian dollars per month. Yes.
Wonderful. So I hope that gives us an overview about the kind of jobs you can take up as part of your masters in Canada. It sounds like a really like a lot of opportunity is available. So I guess a wide variety of jobs would be available, and in fact, unlike the US, there's always a time you can always go off campus and pick up a job as part of your student visa as well.
And one more advantage is that if you have an on-campus job, you can still do off-campus job.
Oh,
so,
wow.
But then there are restrictions again in the hours.
Right.
But then that's still possible. So getting an on-campus job is always an advantage.
Wonderful. So anyway, I guess that clarifies how we can make money once we get to Canada and start pursuing our masters. But the more important question is, where do we go to pursue masters? Because I'm sure everybody has a dream university in mind depending on their field of interest, right? So I guess that's what we need to get started next.
Absolutely.
So let's look at some popular departments and what are the universities that offer these programs. Okay, shall we, guys? In fact, I'd like to get some more energy, because I guess a lot of you guys might have just woken up and you're just waking up. So I want you guys to be a little more interactive in today's seminar, guys. So you can start off by typing in what field of interest or which program would you like to pursue if you want to go to pursue your MS from Canada. Computer science says Rehan. Computer science says Ritvik. Data science says, oh my god, a lot of responses coming in. I'm not even able to keep track. But wow, artificial intelligence says Meena. Life science says Shraddha Jain. Electrical and computer engineering says Sai Teja. Civil engineering says Arnav. Okay. Mechatronics, chemical engineering, data analysis, MIS, artificial intelligence, industrial engineering. Seems like, wow, that is a lot of responses. So I guess that kind of gives us an idea of what the students are looking for. So shall we find out what Canada is most famous for, guys? Would you like to get started on that? Yes, says Sirisha, Vaibhav, Naveen, absolutely. Maple syrup says Pawan. We're getting into the spirit of Canada. So let's start. Let's find out what are the popular departments.
Well, like I said in the beginning, right now Canada's international outlook has increased a lot, and a lot of new courses. A lot of right now Canada has really speeding up, and it has it has risen to a very high level of the education in terms of education. Like when you look into 10 years back down the lane, it was a good place, but it was not a great place. Right now, a lot of students going, and due to which the Canadian government have also increase the the quality of education as well as the universities even in Canada. So some of the popular sectors that host a lot graduate degrees in Canada right now are MBA. One is MBA, and the management courses. The business colleges in Canada are really great right now. It's that it's not very much known right now because it is rising really great right now. So Canada is one of the most famous places right now that is growing in terms of management and business schools.
Okay.
And then of course, like a lot of you have aspirations to go to computer science.
Yes,
so the second one is computer science, and then you have this core engineering fields where you have electrical engineering, I think, coming up first, and then you have mechanical engineering, and then you have civil and construction management, and then there is good increase in chemical and petroleum engineering that people choose to go right now in the core engineering fields.
Right.
And then you have social and life sciences,
right,
like biotechnology, biological sciences basically. And then you have also arts. When you're talking about arts, it comes about psychology. It's one of the most famous place people choose to go to Canada.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then you have the medicine and healthcare. So medicine and healthcare, Canada is popular when it's one of the best when it comes to undergraduate studies. In postgraduate studies, it is quite famous, but not as much as the rising business schools and the computer science and core engineering. So you do have medicine, healthcare, like public administration. Health management.
Okay. Okay, so we are getting a lot of questions about which universities are good for these specific fields. So let's take a look at what we've prepared, and then we'll take up questions on what university would be best fit for you guys. Okay, does that sound fine with you guys? Then I'll take up individual questions based on the respective departments that you're asking about, right? Okay, great. So let's take a quick look at what are the popular universities that offer these programs. First up,
so let's discuss one by one.
MBA and
like I said, and management and business.
Right.
So you have the business schools. Like I said, they are rising up a lot, and some of the really great business schools that you have in Canada are the Department School of Management, that's given by University of Toronto. It's the name of the business school of Toronto. So Toronto is, just for basics, that Toronto is the main college.
University of Toronto.
And then you have a lot of colleges. Sub-schools. Like you have arts, look into when you're talking about MBA especially. And then there are other management courses that are really good. Like, for example, you can talk about business analytics. So business analytics is a course which involves analytics and management. And this is given by even engineering schools at times, and also given by business schools. But then, getting it from a business school gives you a much more broader idea about the management point of view in a business analytics course. Right. And Canada is one of the growing places right now for MS in business analytics.
Right. So for those of you guys who were talking about analytics in terms of business analytics, then I'm sure the business schools in Canada have a lot to offer. In fact, a lot of these universities in Canada are making it to global rankings as well. So I have a lot of questions coming in for your specific departments. Don't worry, guys. We'll get to that in very, very short time. We'll just quickly go over the popular universities for the departments we just discussed, and then we'll go on to addressing your specific departments.
Even in the business, the management,
management.
Yeah, there is engineering management too, and there is also MS in management.
Okay.
So MS in management is a very popular course that's coming up a lot right now.
MIM, is it?
Yes, that's right. MIM,
okay.
Masters in Management. So MIM is a little bit different from Masters in Information Systems. That is also something that a lot of students aspire to go.
Okay.
But Canada is a country that it does host Masters in Information Systems, but it's not as good as US, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So if you're looking forward for MS in Management degree, then yes, Canada is a really great place. MBA, Business Analytics, but not MIS.
Okay.
MIS is really growing up in US. So MIS, you have information studies given by some of the colleges, some of the great colleges and universities in Canada, but there are just a few. Right. So we have to focus more into MS in Management.
Okay.
And they do require experience for MS in management studies in Canada.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's some good news. Okay. So Girija Iyer asks, what about engineering management?
Yes, engineering management is also available, but I would suggest you to go for an MS in management.
MS in management.
Yes,
Okay.
MS in management is quite famous even in Canada,
Mhm.
and there is it's not like MS in management and MS in engineering management. It's different, but then they are almost similar. In engineering management, you have a lot of engineering related subjects, and there is a very good mix of engineering and management. In MS in management, it's more about a little bit sub level of an MBA.
Okay.
So when you're talking about MBA, you need to have you need and compulsory must have work experience. But in MSc management, it is not very mandatory, but then it is always preferred.
Preferred.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. So all right. Let's quickly look at the other departments because a lot of questions coming in for artificial intelligence and all of that. So we'll address the questions from students once we're done discussing the different departments. So next up, computer science and information technology, which is the second most popular sector.
So yes, I totally agree right now that now is the world of computers, and everyone is choosing computer science and IT. Be it from any field, whether it's mechanical or industrial or electrical or computer science, everybody is choosing computer science and IT because, of course, computer science and IT has the highest number of jobs. It's also well paid, and the number of opportunities are more. So a lot of people choose to do computer science.
Right.
So whether they are from any UG or not, even if you have work experience, and then you would like to go into the computer science field. So when you're talking about universities in Canada, there are a lot of universities in Canada, like let's say somewhere around 90 to 120 universities in Canada that actually host graduate programs, and almost all of them have the computer science and IT. But there are some of the really good ones and really top colleges that host computer sciences and IT, and those are a few like University of Waterloo, University of British Columbia, Toronto, McGill, and even University of Alberta.
Okay. All right. So here we have a lot of questions coming in for MS in computer science. So let's take up Sirisha. Sirisha has a question. She says, I have done my undergrad in electronics and communication with work experience of one year, I guess. What are the chances of getting admission in MS in computer science in top universities like University of Toronto?
Okay. So when you're talking about University of Toronto and University of Waterloo, they are like one of the best colleges.
Right.
And in Canada, definitely Canada is a little bit more of an academic-centric universities. So there are universities that require GRE. There are a lot of universities that don't require GRE. So the universities that require GRE, it may be in Srisha's case, it will be good if you choose universities that require GRE because that would be an additional advantage for your profile when it comes to applying for a computer science degree because you have an electrical engineering degree. So right. Yes, there are good chances, but then when you're talking about computer science, you have two kinds of degrees. You have a research-based degree and you have a coursework degree.
Right.
So it would be good in her case if she goes for a MS in computer science with a coursework option.
Okay.
So
coursework as in.
So you get to do a project, or you get to study only the courses.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not research.
Not research based. Okay. All right, Sirisha. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Abhijit, we will be discussing mechanical engineering in a short while. All right. So. All right, so Sahil Bhakte asks, how is University of Concordia?
Yes, it is good. Concordia is also quite affordable when compared to the top colleges like I have mentioned, Waterloo or British Columbia. That is one big advantage of Concordia. And the thing about computer science is that they expect sometimes you to contact professors and get in touch with them and then apply to the degree. So Waterloo and Toronto and British Columbia, these kind of universities definitely expect you to contact a professor. In terms of Concordia or University of Montreal, they don't really sometimes expect you to contact a supervisor, and that makes it more easier to actually apply and get an admit.
Okay.
That also depends on the profile that you have, due to which, based on which we can tell you whether you have a good chance or not.
Okay. Which universities have data science as one of their programs, asks Manoj Kumar.
Okay, so data science is a specialization that comes under computer science.
Okay.
So every university cannot host a MS in data science.
Okay.
So it depends on the diversity, it depends on the famousness and the reputation of the college. So some of the few colleges in the top, which I mentioned, that are really good for data science would be British Columbia, that has a good amount of research in the field of data science. And you also have Waterloo and Toronto that are really good for data science.
Data science. All right. So I hope that answers your question, Manoj. Okay, so Sri Harshini asks a question. I'm a final year undergrad student in computer science. What is the preference for experience in Canadian universities for MS and CS?
I'm sorry, the last part I couldn't catch.
What is the preference for work experience in Canadian universities for a master's in computer science?
Like I said, Canada is also an academic-centric university. So having a bachelor's degree from computer science will definitely help. And then if you are an undergraduate student still studying in your final year, that's not an issue at all.
Okay.
If you have a good GPA of somewhere around 8.0, definitely you will have a very good chance of an admit. Then, or which almost equal to a person who is having a 3 to 4 years experience.
Okay.
So you're going directly from an undergraduate degree to a master's degree. So there is no gap. So the path in which you explain your SOP, the way you explain your SOP, explaining that you have done your BTech and then you're directly moving to your master's in the same degree, will have a higher chance of a logical explanation to actually give you an admit in the same field.
Okay. All right. So. Okay, I have a question from the audience. I'm not really able to see the name. What is the difference between MS in computing science and MS in computer science? And which one of them has machine learning and artificial intelligence as the specialization?
Okay, so when you talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence, that's more given in computer sciences. Computing sciences, it's more close to applied computer sciences.
Applied computer science. Okay.
So computer science will have a lot of R&D and you will have a lot of research. Applied computer science is more about
industrial applications.
Industrial applications, and it's more towards industry. So getting a job, if you're very sure to get a job, then you should go for applied computer sciences. And then if you have any ideas for research and further R&D, then you should choose for MS in computer science.
Okay. All right. Still a lot more questions coming in. We'll pick up more questions as we move forward, guys. We'll just quickly move on to admission requirements because I guess a lot of questions are regarding admission requirements. What is the GPA requirement? What is the GRE score requirement? IELTS score? General admission requirements in total. So I think let's proceed on to the different departments and then the admission requirements. Right? So we'll definitely be covering admission requirements, guys. Don't worry about that. Just a quick announcement for those of you guys who just joined us here. We are discussing all about MS in Canada, which is the first event as part of our admissions marathon today, starting from 10 a.m. all the way till 11 p.m. And we have 8 back-to-back events where we discuss a range of different topics that are related to your masters abroad. So stay tuned. The next event that will be starting at 11:30 is actually a seminar on what are the 8 most sought after programs that's going to make it huge in the next decade. So if you're someone who wants to know more details about what these 8 courses are, let me know in the chat box and I will share a link with you so that you can attend the next seminar as well. Right. So moving on to the next department. So computer science and IT. Then again, so where are the possibilities for jobs after your MS? That is also covered in this slide, guys. Can you just quickly take us through what kind of jobs students can expect after a MS in computer science or IT?
All right. So since it is a master's degree, so So you don't directly get into a very high level of job, but then of course it does pay you quite good. So there are some jobs, really good ones that you can look forward to taking after finishing a master's in computer science, or something like a data scientist if you're specializing in data science, or you can work as a software engineer or a developer or a web designer. These are the kind of jobs that pay quite good. And then if you're really looking forward to go for robotics, artificial intelligence, then you would have to work in some of the really good companies like these, as an R&D, or as a designer, things like that.
Okay.
So they pay you quite good.
All right. So let's move on to the next department. Core engineering fields. So I guess we can cover what are the popular engineering fields that are that Canada is famous for. So can you walk us through what are the core engineering departments that Canada has to offer?
Definitely. So there are a lot, when you talk about School of Engineering that the universities host, you have a lot of engineering programs.
Yeah.
So right now, there are a few engineering programs that two things that the universities give you, and the kind of students, especially when it comes to India, the kind of students that actually go there. So you have the first thing that a lot of students choose to go in Canada is the electrical and computer engineering, and then you have mechanical engineering, and then you have computer science, and then you have civil engineering, and then you have chemical and petroleum engineering and construction management. So these are the kind of core engineering areas in which a lot of Indian students as well as international students opt for in Canada. So in electrical engineering, one advantage that Canada hosts is that they have MS in electrical and computer engineering. Now there are a lot of students that come from an electrical engineering background, and they would want to choose computer science, or they would. There is a you're quite confused whether should you apply for a computer science, and you have priorities whether you should choose a better ranked university and go in a similar field, or you should choose any university but you have to go for computer science. So when you're looking at, if you're looking for a really top ranked university from an electrical engineering, you can choose an MS in electrical and computer engineering. So since you have a blend of both, you can get into some of the really good colleges. That is about electrical engineering. And then you have mechanical engineering, that some of the really good colleges in mechanical engineering are, you can say, UBC, and then you have Toronto. These two are some of the best for mechanical engineering. And the specializations offered in mechanical engineering are actually really good. And then you have industrial, and then you have civil. That's also really growing in Canada. Civil and construction management. There are a lot of universities that provide that, and there are a lot of jobs for civil and construction management in the field of core engineering. And then you have chemical and petroleum. That's also quite good. Canada having a good amount of oil. You have a lot of
yes.
Options for chemical and petroleum engineering as well. So these are the few programs that a lot of international students go, and they have a lot of acceptance rate as well as the larger class intake. So if a lot of students are applying, a lot of students actually get an admit. The acceptance rates are quite higher when it comes to core engineering field in Canada.
Right. So from what I see, there are a lot of students right now, and they all want their questions to be answered. Now, guys, it may be a little difficult to cover all questions in one go, but just understanding the volume of questions coming in here, we've created a discussion portal where you can post your questions in this portal, and we'll get answers to all of your questions. Give us 2 working days time, guys, and within the next 2 working days, we'll be answering all of your questions. So how about I share the link with all of you so that you guys can post your questions there as well. I mean, we'll try our best to cover as many questions, but since time is also limited, we'll try and comment and answer your questions in the discussion portal as well. Right? Is that okay with you guys? Will that be fine? Shall I share the link with you all? Wonderful. All right, great. So Aditya says yes. Gurpreet, Pavan, Vaishri, Charan, Manaswin. All right, great. So we'll share the Q&A portal with you right now. You can, meanwhile, we can take them through the next department.
Definitely.
That's social and life sciences.
Okay. I've categorized social and life sciences together. So there's a rising steep when it comes to social and life sciences, and there are a lot of students that are interested in research, especially in the field of life sciences. Now, when it comes to US, life sciences is also quite costly, but in Canada, it's quite achievable, and achievable in the it's more affordable when it comes to life sciences. So the amount of research that Canada does in the field of life sciences is a lot. You have good amount of universities that host you these life sciences programs, and the research opportunities are huge when it comes to Canada. So, like for example, you can take biological sciences, and there are a lot of degrees in terms of life sciences when you have it. You have MS in general biological sciences, then you have MS in molecular biology and cellular biology. Biotechnology is one of the rising, course that a lot of students tend to take.
Right.
It has a good level of technology and biology in it.
Exactly.
So you have these are the kind of courses that life sciences and social sciences, like I said, the School of Arts. There are a few courses that a lot of students now prefer Canada, like psychology. It's something that a lot of people take, and then you have this international relations kind of courses that a lot of students take.
Okay.
Public administration and things like that. So these courses are, the tuition fees are quite affordable, because when you talk about tuition fee in these kind of cases, you have in US or European countries, it's quite costly,
Right.
and they don't have much of universities available providing these kind of things, especially when it comes to research. But Canada hosts a lot, and some of the really good universities that give this are Ottawa, British Columbia, McGill. So these universities provide good amount of research facilities in the field of life sciences as well as social sciences.
Okay. Okay. So I've just shared the Q&A link as well as the registration link for the upcoming seminars. So you can find an array of seminars lined up for you today, and you can choose whatever seminar it is that you'd like to attend based on the information that you're seeking. Now, I have a question here from Puneet's side. He asks, what about medical, just a second. Medical microbiology and pharmacy.
Yes, I think we'll cover that in the next
department. Okay, all right. So
but
stay
yes,
tuned
that
for
is
that.
also a very good course.
Okay, we'll definitely cover that in our next slide. Right. So let's take up a couple of questions regarding this at this point of time. Which universities have specialization in nanotechnology? Asks Pawan.
Okay. British Columbia focuses a lot on nanotechnology.
Okay.
And then you have Waterloo also giving a good amount of research in the field of nanotechnology. So these two colleges are really good when it comes to nanotechnology.
Okay, and Srujana asks, what about immunology and microbiology?
Yes, immunology and microbiology is really good. The PhD options for immunology and microbiology is very good. One university that is one of the best for immunology and microbiology is University of British Columbia. You have like around 10 to 15 professors actually working just in the field of immunology and microbiology.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that should be
it's also a very ambitious university. But the good advantage about that is you have a lot of professors working, and then you can get in touch with a lot of professors over there to actually ask them, exactly in which areas that you would like to go PhD, and then that gives you a better chance.
All right. So okay, so I guess that is that's more about life sciences and social sciences. There's also a lot of questions coming in regarding the medical and healthcare sector. So let's give you an overview about that and quickly move on to university admission requirements, which a lot of you guys are asking us about. So we'll be talking about that very shortly. You can cover medicine and healthcare since a lot of people want to know about pharmacology and biomedical engineering.
So medicine and healthcare are really costly. I think everybody knows that when it comes to US or even European countries. Medicine and healthcare is also, it's not about just the cost, it's about the availability and the kind of structured way in which these countries have kept it. And the good thing is that even Canada has kept that in a very good way.
Right.
But just that the most important thing in Canada is that it's quite affordable. Medicine and healthcare, not only just the sector, but also even when it comes to education. So it's not as costly as the other countries. So you have a lot of advantage when you have to, if you really want to choose medicine and healthcare, you should definitely choose Canada. So there are a lot of courses that the universities give you when it comes to this particular area.
All right. So what are the kind of jobs that people can expect after a master's in any of these, in this particular sector?
Yeah. So there are two ways. There are two things in which students actually choose to prefer. One is that you tend to go into the complete R&D, or you go into doing your PhD in a particular aspect and be a research scientist and things like that, or you move slightly more into management sectors. Like healthcare management is one of the rising things that's happening right now.
Right.
So a lot of startups, a lot of people working with the government in that aspect. So that is one of the biggest sector that the government also gets a lot of money, and then you get a lot of opportunities in that particular aspect.
Okay. All right. So with that, I think we can move on to admission requirements for an MS in Canada. So Rifat, I'm just sharing the link with you in private. You can take a look at the entire event itinerary right here. Right. So now that we've looked at the popular departments, guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of questions to ask about your specific department and sector. Don't worry about it. We'll try to cover as much as possible in this seminar itself. We'll have a Q&A towards the end of the session. If you're not able to cover all of your questions, then please hold on to that. I've shared a Q&A link with all of you. Make sure you post your questions there on that link, and we'll have our experts come together and answer your questions within 2 working days. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Let's quickly look at the admission requirements, because now that we know the scope and what is it that Canada has to offer, what is it that you can do to get that admit, right? So can you talk us through the admission requirements that Canada looks for in the profile?
Okay, so see, the admission requirements in an overall perspective is almost similar when it comes to US. Okay, like they have almost a similar pattern of admission, the way you apply to universities in these Canadian universities, just almost similar to US. So now you have there are various things that that are really important. Though the format is almost similar, but the things that you should take into consideration in order to get a successful admit in Canada is quite different from US or even the other countries, or even European countries. So there are a few things that you have to be very careful, and in selecting your university, so that the admission requirements and application to them becomes very smooth.
Super. So let's look through them in detail. All right.
So the first admission requirement, like I said, since it goes hand in hand with US a little bit, so you tend to look into the first and most important aspect, that is called as GRE. Okay, so I think everybody knows what is GRE exam, and what is the minimum maximum scores and how much you should get, and there is almost an everybody has quite a good idea that what is a good GRE score and what is a really bad GRE score, and what's an average GRE score. But one very important aspect that we have to look into when it comes to Canada about GRE is that many universities don't actually require the GRE score. Okay, that is one big advantage. So if you're choosing only Canada, then you have to actually rethink whether you really want to take GRE or not. And also depends on the kind of universities that you are targeting in Canada. So if you're really when you're looking into the really top colleges in Canada, then probably you can take up GRE.
Okay.
But if you are not really looking into the top colleges and looking into a good college, then you should look. Then there is not a very necessary thing to take the GRE.
Okay.
And then when I say about whether some universities require GRE, again there is a tricky part over here. There are some universities that require GRE. There are some universities that don't require GRE. And then in the university, there are certain programs that require GRE, and then there are certain programs that don't require GRE. So it also, when you're talking about actually applying to Canada, it's just not that on an overall perspective you take, I'm up in Canada, let's not take GRE. It's not that. You have to actually look into each and every program. of your choice, and then look into the university, and then look into the departments whether they require GRE. One example that you can see is the Waterloo. So for University of Waterloo, which is one of the best university for computer science for graduate programs, not undergraduate. So the computer science department of Waterloo requires a GRE score. And it is compulsory. If you don't have the GRE score, they will not evaluate your profile. And then the University of Waterloo, again the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering do not require a GRE score. They clearly mention that they do not require. This is the second aspect. And then there is a third aspect in Canada where they say that we recommend GRE. So when they say we recommend GRE, they are not actually saying that we need a GRE score, and they are also not saying that we don't need a GRE score. We just recommend the GRE score. Now, so what does that exactly mean? We recommend. So that actually means that having a GRE score will have a better chance of an admit when you're applying to universities. For example, let's say you have just a 6.5 GPA. So you would want to, make your profile a little bit more stronger. So you can compensate that by having a very good GRE score, because of course we know that during our undergraduate studies, sometimes we tend to get a lower, the GPA tends to be a little bit lower.
Exactly.
And then now, when you complete your undergraduate study, you decided that, okay, you want to study masters further, and then unfortunately, GPA is one of the biggest criteria for admissions, which we don't realize while we are undergraduate students.
Right.
So now it's not like everything's over. Oh my God, I got a low GPA and I won't get an admit. But still, there are chances. So if you compensate that with a very high GRE score, which you can study for a certain amount of time and then get a good score, that will compensate.
Okay.
And then there are universities which coming to the second point, where they say we do not require GRE. When the university mentions we do not require GRE, which means that they don't require GRE. Even if you have a really great GRE score 330, don't expect that the university to consider that GRE score is for your GPA and give you an admit, because they don't require GRE, so they won't consider the GRE score.
Okay.
So they will not look into the GRE score. So unless and until it says that you will be recommend GRE, then you should probably send your GRE scores. Otherwise, it's just probably waste of money sending your GRE scores.
Okay, so that's a very important point to keep in mind, guys. The way universities carefully word their requirements, helps you take an informed decision. You need to be able to understand what the university is expecting you to do, and that's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing
You also
that.
need to go into the department,
Right.
and sometimes the department cannot give it very clearly, so you have to go to the fact section,
Right.
frequent asked question, and there you get to find this particular options. So
Okay.
you have to do a thorough research,
Right.
and it's quite tricky when you are applying to, especially when it comes to GRE and applying to top colleges.
Top universities, yes, competition is high, and you can't afford to lose anything.
Definitely.
All right. So what about the next language proficiency requirements?
Okay. So in the language proficiency requirements, the thing is, what I have noticed is that students have this confusion about whether to take a IELTS or whether to take a TOEFL when it comes to Canada. And then there is this myth that TOEFL is not accepted in Canada and only IELTS is accepted in Canada. It's nothing like that. All the programs to which you are going to apply in Canada will actually take the TOEFL or the IELTS. You can choose any one of them. When you're looking into quite a low rank colleges, and when you're looking for a postgraduate diploma course, then probably TOEFL may not be accepted there, but usually even there it's accepted by many colleges. Otherwise, all the universities and colleges take up the IELTS course. So in Canada, you have universities and you have colleges. There is a lot of difference between both of them. In university, you have a good amount of diversity. In colleges, you don't have so much of diversity. Universities do hold, a postgraduate diploma. But when you're talking about postgraduate diploma courses, a lot of colleges actually post that. And there's a certain sector for universities and there's a certain sector for colleges when it comes to postgraduate diploma. Now coming to the TOEFL and IELTS, both can be taken. So there is no harm that, and then we don't have to have any confusion that whether I should take an IELTS or whether I should take a TOEFL exam.
Okay.
Just that in TOEFL, the score reporting is quite easy.
Okay.
It's just done online. In IELTS, it's done offline. So the hurdle of reporting scores when it comes to when you're reporting scores to the universities are quite less in terms of TOEFL. And one more advantage that Canada gives you in the English language proficiency is that they don't expect you to send the IELTS or the TOEFL scores, that is the official scores, during your admission. So they ask you to send it, after you get an admit. So that actually saves a lot of money. Like when you take US, they expect you to have send your official scores while you're applying. So you have to spend, the $20 extra or for TOEFL, or the score reporting of IELTS, however you do it, whether it's online or offline, and you have to spend money to do that. In Canada, they don't ask you to send that. Only if you get an admit, then they ask you to do that. But this is not compulsory in all universities. Most universities do that. So the tricky thing here is that when you're applying to Canada, you have to check this very carefully. So there are at times where you just genuinely just send it because every university requires it, and you just send it, and then it may not be needed exactly during the time of application.
Right.
So you just have to send your unofficial scores, and that with that the university will evaluate your profile, and then if you get an admit, you will have to send the official scores by paying the money. If you don't get an admit, then you actually save the money, in not sending the scores, official scores.
Right. Okay, so here we have some, something special about the Canadian admission requirements, right? So
Yes.
can we take them through that?
That is one important thing that Canada requires is connecting with supervisor. Now, what does connecting with supervisor mean? When you have your friends going abroad for higher studies, let's take US or any European countries, you just see them, selecting the colleges and then applying to the universities and getting an admit. But in Canada, it's a little bit different here. Like I said, Canada is more academic and more research-oriented kind of universities. So you need, not exactly need, it is always better. In some universities, you need to contact a supervisor in the university.
Right.
Now, what is a supervisor basically? Supervisor basically is a faculty member in the university. It's not like the faculty member of an administrative department or something. Just a normal faculty who takes classes and who is in the university, who is in the particular department of your program that you're going to apply.
Right.
Now, what is this connecting with supervisor? Before you apply to the universities, you have to contact these professors, explain them your research interest, that you are working in this particular field, or you have studied this particular field, and you're interested in this particular program, let's say computer science, or let's say cellular and molecular biology. So you have to show your interest to that particular area and explain him that if you could actually apply to the university, or if you could work under him. And then if the supervisor or the faculty member is happy with your profile or is satisfied in the sense he likes the research work in which you're doing, then he would probably ask you to apply. And then once you get that confirmation from him, then you can apply. So this confirmation is done via email. If there is no certain portal to do it, you have to apply via email, and you get his confirmation. And then when you're applying in the universities, they actually ask you over there as to have you contacted any professor, and you have to put the professor's name over there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And in some universities, it is very compulsory. So if you don't, it's a compulsory question. So if you don't put a professor's name, then you can't move forward with your application.
Oh, okay.
And you can't just bluff and put somebody else's name.
They will verify.
Yes, the professor will verify. Okay. It's not wrong, but then your admit chances decreases a lot because you haven't contacted the professor and you have put this a random professor. So they don't ask you who would you like to work with the professor that you have contacted.
Okay.
So yes.
What would be a good way to contact a professor?
That you have to contact via email.
Gmail or LinkedIn, asks Amrita Panta. So
you can contact in both ways, but but professors prefer emails.
Emails. Okay.
Emails is better because when you talk about emails, you get to have a write-up about why you are contacting that professor. So that will give them a better aspect as to you explaining your reasons for a graduate study. It's not an SOP that you write in the email, but in a short format about what your interest.
Okay.
So that has to be clearly mentioned.
So here I have a question from Gargi. Gargi asked, is connecting with a supervisor mandatory for course-based programs?
Yes, I was going to say that. So for a course-based program, it is not mandatory.
Okay.
And even for a research-based program, it is not mandatory. But research-based programs, it is always better. Course-based program, it is not needed. And if you can contact, it's always better to do that.
Always better to do that.
And yes, there are a few universities that actually ask you to contact a supervisor even for a course-based.
Okay.
This is in terms of master. When you're talking about PhD, I mean, you have to contact. If you don't get a contact from PhD, then there is almost, I would say, not no chance, but very, very limited chance to get an admit in terms of PhD. So when you're applying to Canada, you have to apply real fast. I mean, you have to apply pretty early because contacting a professor takes time. The professor is not just waiting there to listen to your, look into your email and then reply you. He will have a lot of other work. So when you're contacting 10 professors, for example, it's not that you will get a reply from every 10 professors. Among the 10 professors, probably 3 professors will reply you, I'm not working in this area, I'm sorry. And then you have 3 professors that will reply you saying that, yes, I'm interested, but you can look for out of line. And then there are 3 professors or 4 professors that won't even reply you. So you can't have an idea. So you have to start quite early and start emailing professors as many as you can to show your interest, especially when you're applying for a research-based and a PhD program.
Okay.
So this is a very important aspect in Canada compared to other countries. That helps you in getting an admit.
I think this is definitely an eye-opener because this is something that's unique to Canada. So I hope you guys keep that in mind while you do your applications. And if you haven't started contacting professors, please do so immediately. Right?
Yes.
So what would be an approximate time for fall 19 deadlines for Canada? When does it start?
So when it comes to the deadlines of universities in Canada, they are quite a little bit, they finish early actually, that's the thing. In US, for example, you have applications open up by October or September and it goes on till May. You have universities available till May. But in Canada, due to the limited number of universities compared to US or any other countries, you have the deadlines finishing by Jan 15th or Feb.
Okay.
After that, you do have, but they are very less. The thing is, after that, the next intake applications start up. That is the summer intake. So they tend to complete the most of the universities, especially top ranked colleges and the good colleges, complete the application by Jan 15th or so.
Okay.
So if you are looking forward to apply to Canada, this is the right time. You have to start emailing professors right now and start your application side by side right now. It's not necessary that you contact a professor and then apply. You can do the other things, keep it ready.
Yeah,
simultaneously as well. And then the moment you get a reply from a professor, immediately submit the applications.
Wonderful. So get started, guys. There's not much time. The clock is ticking. So all the very best. Let's quickly wrap up this since we have another 15 minutes to go, and we still have a couple of things to share. So apart from admission requirements, the next thing that I want to ask is how much of a focus does Canada pay towards GPA?
Yes.
Because a lot of students had a question regarding GPA. So what exactly, how would you comment on that?
Yes, GPA is one of the most important factors when it comes to Canada. Like I was explaining during the time of with the GRE. So like Canada is more of an academic centric university, which I already said earlier. So they don't, if the GRE is not required, then in the US, GRE is a very important aspect, not the most important, but an important aspect. So, but in Canada, GRE is not required by many universities. So GPA is really important, and your academics, from which background that you are actually coming from, matters a lot. Like for example, let's take an electrical engineering student going for a computer science. In this case, you need to have a really high GPA if you're applying for a computer science degree because you are already changing the stream. So that's a little bit of disadvantage. So you have to kind of focus on the other aspects of your profile to make it more better. And that's where you have to have a higher GPA. And when you're talking about GPA, yes, you need to have at least 7.8 plus to get into some of the really good colleges. 7.5 is average, so 8.0 is good, 8.5 or 8.6 plus is really great.
Okay, so naturally my follow-up question would be, how can we make up for a GPA less than 7.5? What are the avenues in which somebody can improve their chances to get an admit?
Okay. So if you're having a GPA less than 7.5, so there are universities, Canadian universities are also a little strict on GPA. So they actually explain in the university website itself that we need a GPA of this much.
Right.
And then if the GPA goes, if you don't meet that criteria, some universities will still consider your application, some universities don't, unfortunately. So the universities that do consider your application, the other ways in which you can show up is by doing research projects and internships. Okay, so these are the things, because like I said, academic, again, so a lot of focus goes into what are the kind of things that you have done to show to the university. Of course, your SOP is going to be great, no doubt about it. But then not just writing about your ambitions will actually give them will give them a chance to see whether you can do it or not. But you actually having a follow-up showing that yes, I have done these things, projects or internships, and research projects are much more well taken into consideration.
Right.
When it comes to that thing. So you doing a co-curricular activities will play a major role to compensate for your GPA.
Okay. All right then. Then in that case, I just have one quick question to ask you guys, since now is the perfect time to get started on your application. If there's anything that we can do to help you in your journey to your dream university, be it Canada or any other country across the globe, then let us know how we can be of any assistance in that journey. I'm just going to launch a poll on your screen, guys. You can just let us know in what way we can help you reach your dream school. So quickly take a second to answer this poll. You can devote a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, it's in about 10 to 15 seconds, we'll start our pop quiz before we end this session. And the winner of this pop quiz will have a chance to win 1 year's subscription to Zomato Gold. So I don't have to explain a lot about that. I mean, I'm sure you guys already know what Zomato Gold has to offer. So we'll pick one lucky winner from the responses that we get, and he or she would win a 1 year subscription to Zomato Gold. So quickly take a second to answer this poll, and after which we can conclude the seminar and proceed to the pop quiz. And yes, all right. So I can see a lot of you guys have responded here. A lot of you guys said I need assistance in admissions counseling. That's fantastic. You can always explore the programs that we have to offer. In fact, for all attendees who have logged in today in this seminar, we have some exciting giveaways. If you just click on the handout button, be it your mobile phone or on your desktop, we have 3 giveaways for all of you. And that's a kit that we've designed for all attendees in today's Masters Connect Fall 2019. And it includes an exclusive coupon for all the attendees that gives you 30% discount on any of our admissions counseling programs. So if you'd like to explore and find out, please feel free to check out our website. And if you want to avail that offer, make sure that you use that coupon code. Right? So let's quickly move on to the next part of the session. Let's give them a summary of what we've covered. In fact, you can give a quick overview on the job opportunities. Since we're running short of time, I guess we can quickly cover that and then close the session.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to job opportunities, Canada is really good, and it's coming up a lot right now. To be honest, like 10 years down, 10 years before or 5 years before, the opportunities were quite less. But right now, Canada, due to this rising steep of huge number of colleges and universities in Canada, the opportunities are a lot. That is one big advantage. Second thing is that the population being less, and I'm pretty sure for us Indians, finding a job would be more easier in Canada. And yes, they do pay you quite good. And some of the most famous sectors in which you have this Canada giving you a good amount of jobs. Yes, you have business and management. Like I said, since this is rising a lot right now, so business schools actually recruit. After you complete, the companies recruit you, pay you a lot, especially when it comes for an MBA. And then you have other courses that is coming up like management, MSc Management, and then you have business analytics also. That is one. Next thing is medicine and pharmacy. Medicine and pharmacy is also quite famous when it comes to undergraduate programs as well as graduate programs. But in undergraduate programs, it's quite more compared to graduate programs. And then you have engineering and other related technologies, like in construction management or project management. These kind of jobs after finishing your engineering, like when you're talking about core engineering fields like mechanical or electrical, you can choose to do in R&D, or you can choose to do in some of the really good companies where they pay you quite a lot. So that ranges from 60 to 95,000 Canadian dollars. If you're having a prior experience before you actually go for your master's degree and then apply for a master's degree and then go for a job, which is if all the 3 are aligned, then you get much better pay. It can also exceed 95,000 Canadian dollars in terms of engineering. And then computer science and IT. Computer science and IT, in terms of pay wise, it's not as famous as business and management. But when you're talking about the popular jobs, CS and IT will be actually more famous because you have a lot of jobs for CS and IT, and you have not as much as that compared to when it comes to business and management. But then in terms of pay wise, business and management is more than CS and IT. But then since the crowd and the population going for CS and IT is more, so definitely the opportunities also are quite more. So that is one of the most most popular jobs.
Okay. All right. So I guess that gives us a thorough understanding. Now it's time for me to pose that one question that will decide who wins that 1 year subscription to Zomato Gold from this session. So my question is, just pay very close attention to the question, guys. You get one shot at it and be very quick to send in your response. So the question is, what is the one admission requirement that is unique for a master's in Canada? Send in your responses right away. Oh, wow. All right. So there's a lot of responses coming in here. Okay. So I guess we've got to announce the winner right away. The winner from today's this session's pop quiz is I'm going to give it to the first correct answer, and that is to Dr. Chandana. Dr. Chandana, congratulations! You win a 1 year subscription to Zomato Gold from this event. In fact, don't feel disheartened if you guys have tried and not won, because there are plenty more. We have 7 more events lined up all through today, and be sure that you attend whatever it is that that suits your needs at this point of time, and you can also participate in many more exciting quizzes and giveaways. Right? So it was wonderful having you with us, Shubhra. Any concluding remarks before we close today's seminar, Shubhra?
Yes. For the students that are planning to apply, the aspiring students for 2019, please don't delay. This is the high time for you to apply for Canada if you have to apply. Like I said, the deadlines will be by December 1st, December 15th, Jan 1st, and then Jan 15th, and Jan 30th, just a few. So the universities will not be available after that. If you're applying for, and fall is the highest, has the highest intake. So if you're applying to Canada, you have to start right away. There is no time to delay.
All right. Anyway, guys, it was wonderful having you all. Do make sure that you send in your questions to the Q&A link available. Now, for those of you guys who've asked me regarding the coupon code is not available to those who have already been enrolled into a program, but you can certainly avail the discount if you haven't enrolled yet. All right. So make sure that you pick up your event kit from the handouts available on the GoToWebinar portal. It includes a 15-step guide to writing a winning SOP, what are some of the fall 2019 deadlines for upcoming universities, and of course, an exclusive 30% off on any of our admissions counseling programs, right? So if you've had a great session, please leave in your feedback. We'd love to know whether you found this seminar to be useful, whether you found it to be beneficial in your journey to your dream university, especially when it comes to MS in Canada. Leave us your feedback. We definitely would love to know how you found today's session, guys. And we also look forward to you guys joining our upcoming seminars. In fact, the next session that starts in 15 minutes is another exciting session that talks about 8 of the most sought after programs, include all of the names like artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, all of that that is booming at this point of time. So if you want to have a clear outlook as to what these courses have to offer and their popular universities as well as their requirements, then be sure to attend. I will be sharing the link with you right now so that you can register for these seminars. So until next time, this is Donna David and Shubhra signing off. A very good morning, and we hope to see you in our upcoming sessions. Take care, guys. I'll be sharing the link right away.
Anna? Done. No?